Chip, how you doing?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, out there in YouTube land, today on Locally Grown, we have Tom Clifford of the King Soul Band here in my garden. How you doing today, Tom?
It's great. It's a beautiful day to be in the yard.
It's a good day in the garden, yes.
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
not too many August days in DC with low humidity and nice sunshine, and we just checked out what's growing in the yard, and it's beautiful, man.
We got vegetables coming in. We got tomatoes coming in. We got cucumbers coming in, and we got barbecue up on the grill. So
Best time of year in DC, yeah.
We'll be grilling, gardening, and grooving. So
right on.
Hey, Tom, how did you become a musician?
Well, it's kind of funny. Anybody out there on YouTube who's actually bothered to see the band will be surprised to see me playing guitar. So I'm going to say that up front, Chip. You know I'm not a guitarist, but going way back to like elementary school, I had a couple buds. My buddy Ricky Olson is a kind of key to the whole thing. His brother was in a band, and they always had stuff set up in the basement, and really cool. We thought, well, we'll have a band too. So it always seemed to be the thing to do to me. There was a guy I saw when I was a little kid, and my uncle Jerry Carroll was a local musician, and he played in a few bands. Ended up playing with Tex Rabinowitz before Tex really got going with the rockabilly thing. But so music was around my family and around my school, and guys in my neighborhood. Bruce Ewan, the great blues harmonica player. I used to hear him playing in the neighborhood. He's a couple years older than us, and I was like, man. He and his buddy Paul would be out walking down the street playing harp. I'd be like, that's killer, man, that's killer. So it turned out there's a lot of guys in our neighborhood. I grew up in Chevy Chase. People say, well, what's a soul singer from Chevy Chase, And I say, no, I'm from D.C. I'm from Northwest D.C. and Chevy Chase. And if you grew up here, you were exposed to the greatest music in the world, simply by the great musicians around town and also the fantastic radio we had growing up here. So that's what I think it is. It's just exposure to guys being in bands who you just thought, well, that's what I'm going to do. And just, man, always from HFS to GTB to WOL on 1450 AM and the Moon Man and the Mo Better Man. I love Mo Better Man. I do a lot of songs now that I learned from him. So just great stuff. WAMU, always exposed to great music here.
Cool. And tell me about your first band. You were in New Orleans playing music?
Yeah, so I went to Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and I've been playing blues harmonica for some time, and moved down and there were some guys along the way. Colonel Josh and the Honky Tonk Heroes, Josh Arnson. He had a really killer band in high school with Sean Mencher, the famous rockabilly guitar player. They had a band called the Golden Bats that was great. Josh's brother, the Insect Surfers, and also my buddy Paul Steinman and Mike Shapiro. They had a band called Uranus. All those bands would let me sit in and do like one or two songs, And I said, I gotta get my own band. So when I went to school down in New Orleans, right away I found some guys who were kind of similar mind, and I started a band down there called the Mistreaters, and we stayed together for about 5 years. Stayed with them after graduating college for a year. And that was a lot of fun. Moved back to D.C. and a couple of years later got involved with a band called the Thangs, real powerful roots rock band. I'm very proud still of how good that band was. And we played a lot of places. Then it seemed to me that D.C. was changing enough that I wanted to go someplace where there's more people working and playing music all the time. So I moved to Austin, Texas.
All right. What did you do in Austin?
Well, first I was welcomed by a bunch of D.C. people. I'd like to say that. So got a bug on me there. Pardon me, out there in the yard.
Part of the yard.
Part of the yard. I'd every once in a while someone would bring home an issue of the Austin Chronicle, and you'd look at the listings, and Evan Johns and the H-Bombs, D.C. guys. High Noon. That's the Sean Mencher I just mentioned. The Neptunes. That's Jake's band. And Jake and Pete Gordon and Mike.
Talking about Jake Flack.
Yeah, Jake Flack of King Soul and the Rhodes Tavern Troubadours. Fantastic songwriter. Much better guitar player than I am today, than I'll ever be, but he was going to come today, but he's busy with his family. Anyhow, a bunch of D.C. guys down there making the Austin scene, a bunch of guys, man. So when I got to Austin, I kind of got in another roots band. The drummer for the Thangs, Matt Esky, and I moved down there together. And we're going to start a band like the Thangs down here. Well, guess what? There's a lot of bands like the Thangs down there. So a bunch of guys from different roots bands started this kind of Memphis soul band, and kind of did it as a one-off. And as it came the night to do the first one show, people started dropping out because they couldn't learn the lyrics to songs and that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, I know that one. Yeah, I know that one. Because I've always been a big soul fan, going back to, as I said, learning all this stuff from the local radio, and my brother and I just always collected records. So that's how I got into it. I started, all of a sudden I was fronting a horn band, and everybody wanted to see it again. So we did it the next week. Then we started doing it all the time. And that band eventually became King Soul. At the time it was called the Atlantics, and there's still a band down there doing it. They're just kind of a greatest hits of whatever soul music kind of thing. And I later started a band down there with a few guys from Texas who were, you know, real great players. Great bass player Larry Lang. A lot of people know he was in the Cobras and Delbert McClinton's band. Michael Christian, great drummer. Landis Armstrong, on and on. Landis is a great guitar player. We just had a powerful scene going, and we picked up a couple of weekly gigs. So I played music the whole time I was in Austin, pretty much for a living. Did a little carpentry here and there to keep moving, but and then I got married, Chip, and I just decided to move back here so we could have kids, so I would have a support system of my family, which is, you know, from DC.
And so you reformed King Soul up here about 5 years ago?
That's about right. That's about 5 years ago. Jake said, "Come on, man, we're going to do this again." Yeah, we're getting the horn band together. And Jake was working with Matt Ripito, and Matt's our tenor player and a great player, and he started getting Matt to do horn charts. And then when he convinced me that he had, you know, an organ player and all these guys lined up, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'm going to come off the bench and, you know, get back in the game. And Chris Watling, my old friend, going back when the Thangs used to do a bunch of gigs with the grandsons, said, hey, I'm in. So we had a baritone player. And then we had a couple guys joined and worked their way out. But right now, you know, things kind of move around. Different bass player, different drummer, all great friends of mine still. But we kind of have a pretty solid lineup for the past, you know, 4 years, I'd say.
On bass you have?
Mr. Mark Noon, the former Mr. Mark Noon.
Mr. Mark Noon.
Or as Chuck used to say, Mr. Noon.
Mr. Noon.
All right, yeah, Mark is pretty famous around here for being the frontman and leader of the Slicky Boys, and another guy who's been very nice to me over the years. So another guy who make you want to be in a band, yes. You know. So Noon plays a little bit more sideman in this thing, but he does get out front and sing a couple. So Mark's the bass player, guitar player, Jake Flack, great songwriter, great singer. On the organ, Arif Durrani, who's played for many years with Junior Klein and the Recliners. On the drums, my good buddy, and I fished with him last night, Ben Holmes. Ben's a powerful drummer. He used to play with Queen Ida on the Zydeco circuit for many years, and Mitch Woods and the Rocket 88s, and then made his home here and played with the Hula Monsters with Noon. Chris Watling on baritone saxophone, Matt Ripito on tenor, and the coolest guy of all, so cool his name even says it, Vince McCool on trumpet. So yeah, we got a great crew, and we're all good buddies, and somehow Ben's the only one who didn't grow up in the DC area, so we all have known each other and had a lot of connections over many decades, and it's a lot of fun to be in my hometown playing music, and we try to make it as much about our hometown as possible. We always have a song or two that's about DC.
All right, cool. Well, here we are in the Arden. What are you going to play for us today in the Arden? Because this is not your normal King Soul get up here.
No, it's a kind of a different thing, and I mentioned the Thangs a couple times. We had a reunion last week of the original band, and it was a lot of fun. And here's a song that I wrote with the guys in the Thangs many years ago. It's called A Little Help. I'm going to play that first.
All right. Well, I'll step out, and you can just get started with that. And
right on.
We'll play a few songs, and we'll have a good time here in the Arden.
Yeah, thanks for having me over, Chip.
Thanks, Tom.
Every night I stand here wondering when I can count on feeling just a little better. Every night I say this prayer, I don't seem to get nowhere. Now I could use just a little help down here. The tears I cried I thought would bring her back, they did nothing but burn as they rolled down my cheeks. Loneliness tears at my heart, emptiness since we're apart. Now I could use just a little help down here. Now she says she's living, Lord, I feel just like I'm dying. And I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna flood this city with the tears that I keep crying for her. I suppose I should try to make a move. It's time to get out now and find me somebody new. God helps those that help themselves. I just can't do it with nobody else. Now I could use just a little help down here. 'Cause now she says she's living, well, I feel just like I'm dying. And I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna flood the city with the tears that I've been crying. Lord, I know I ain't the only man who's asking, but can't you see I'm falling as far as I can? Lord, you know I tried my best. You filled my cup with loneliness. Now I could use just a little help down here. I could use just a little help down here, yeah. I could use just a little help down here. The song we play with King Soul, this one's called Ask My Baby. This is one I wrote for my wife. What makes a man feel like a king? Go ask my baby, she knows everything. Why am I smiling all the time? It's all because of this little girl of mine. If ever a woman on my heart, she got the key, Lord, she got the lock. And what do I gotta do to hold a love like that? Well, I don't know, I better find out fast. Let me tell you why. 'Cause ever since I had that girl, ain't nothing else I wanna do. She keep me telling the world I got something I'm holding on to. And when she's in my arms, Lord, I'm kissing my baby. She whispers, hold me tighter, Tommy, it's the safest place in the world. She got me singing, what makes a man feel like this? Go ahead and try to kiss my baby. It's something in a kiss. What makes a man feel like a king? Ask my baby, she knows everything. 'Cause she made me, Lord, a man, I feel like a king of the world, y'all. I was just a little poor boy, then she gave me everything I ever thought I wanted, yeah. She hold me. All right. King of the world. Everybody out here in the yard, and you know, I've taken my hat off. I was wearing my hat. I just want you to see my lovely hair. And I know how good I look. I'm going to reveal one of my beauty secrets right now. And Chip, thank you for having me here today on Locally Grown, because I know this is something that means something to you. And I'm wondering now if everybody can go put their hand on their computer. And we're going to get down. We're going to play a little gospel. Who can you turn to when your life is filled with doubt? When the strands that bind you have all fallen out? I was searching for the power to bring back my better days. I was lost in creature feature when I found Mr. Ray's. And it might be hard to get your head around it. Textures and colors in a wide, wide range. And I went down to see him at PG Plaza, and in just about an hour my life had been changed. No matter what your eyes tell you, believe me what I say, you're looking at a hair weave from good Mr. Ray. And it won't come off, that's right, it won't come off. He's on the television, reaching out to you. Locations in Hyattsville and Georgia Avenue. If you're feeling losses you thought were uncorrectable, go see Mr. Ray, his work is undetectable. And it won't come off, that's right, it won't come off. Thank you, Mr. Ray. Between here and Baton Rouge, I ain't got nothing but time. Between here and Baton Rouge, maybe I can clear my mind. Maybe I can live us down by the time I meet you in my hometown. Between here and Baton Rouge, maybe I'll forget about you. Saying goodbye too many nights I sat at home alone. Lord, I believe in Texas, I'm going back to what I know. And I'll be taking that next Greyhound that's Louisiana bound. Between here and Baton Rouge, maybe I can live us down. Saying goodbye to too many nights I sat at home alone. Lord, I believe in Texas, I'm going back to what I know. I've been taking that next Greyhound that's Louisiana bound. Between here and Baton Rouge, maybe I'll forget about you. Between here and Baton Rouge, I'll forget about you. Between here and Baton Rouge, maybe I'll forget about you.
Tom, that was T for terrific.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's kind of a different thing, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to show that how a little bit of the creative process begins. Because if you come see King Soul, you see organ, horns, backup vocals going, and you know, whether it's at my house or Jake's house or Mark's house where they're writing alone, a lot of times it just starts with just a guy on a guitar.
Right, right. And this is your guitar. And you have a unique story about where this guitar came from. Could you tell us about this?
Yeah, it's kind of a nice guitar for a guy who doesn't play very well. But this is a Gibson Custom Shop J45 that was made for my brother, not my real brother, but my soul brother, Mr. Jamie Lee Bradford. He was a great songwriter from Austin, Texas. And Jamie willed it to me, and it was brought to me by Rob Jerso, who's the guitar player for the Flatlanders. And Jamie was a great songwriter, and I wish more people in the world had known what a great songwriter he was, because the night Rob brought this guitar to me, I sat around in a motel room with Rob and Jimmy Dale Gilmore and Butch Hancock playing Jamie Lee songs, and Jamie would have been so proud to hear Jimmy Dale and Butch ask, like, he wrote that song too? He wrote that song? Man, those are great songs. So just getting the chance to play it is fun. So thanks for having us in the yard.
Well, I'm honored to have you and that guitar here in the yard. And everybody out there in YouTube land, tune in each week for Locally Grown on your favorite YouTube channel, where we garden and groove and grill here in the yard. Thank you.
And support DC music. Thank you all for coming out all the time to support everybody.
Local music in the yard.